Hello and welcome everyone. This is the information session for Weisman Art Museum's Native American Artists in Residence program. My name is Katie Covey-Spanier, and I am the Director of Public Engagement and Learning at the Weisman Art Museum. And my role within this project is as in a support role. So at the Weisman, I lead our public program division as well as our educational K through 12 and university outreach initiatives. And so I'll be working closely with this project team to really support all aspects of this project. And now I'd like to turn it over and introduce my colleague, Juan Lucero.
Hello, everybody. I'm Juan Lucero. I am from Isleta, Pueblo. I grew up in the Albuquerque area, Isleta, Pueblo. Um, I moved to Minneapolis maybe about 10 years ago. The Weisman Art Museum's Native American Art in Residence guest curator for this project, and I'm really looking forward to getting this going and working with whoever is chosen for this. Thank you all for being here. Oh, go ahead, Kendra. Sorry.
No worries. Hello, everyone. My name is Kendra Greendeer. I'm a new curator at the Weisman. I'm the Illenfeld Curator of Collaborative and Community Exhibitions. And I imagine in my capacity and whatever the needs of the artist is that we would work alongside each other, and I can be of any assistance.
Thank you, Kendra. Another project partner that will be a key player in this is Alejandra Peña Gutierrez, who is Weisman's executive director. And Weisman staff members Juan, Kendra, and Alejandra also will all be traveling down to New Mexico over the course of the following 2 weeks, and we'll also be doing outreach for this project. And their contact information is here, so also feel free to reach out to them and to make some schedule for some personal connections if you have any follow-up questions. Another aspect of this project that I would like to introduce is we have been working with Nora Murphy Johnson, who is the president and CEO of Inspire to Change. And Inspire to Change is an evaluation arts-based organization in the Twin Cities that specializes in education and restorative practices. So they'll be working alongside the Weisman staff and the artists and other project partners to help us measure impact as we build this collaborative project together. And of course, I also have to acknowledge our funders for the project, the Institute of Museum and Library Sciences or Services, as well as the Terra Foundation for American Art. So the agenda for the evening is I'm going to give kind of a high-level overview of the project and then go through a number of kind of frequently asked questions. And then at the end, we'll open it up and you're able to put your questions into the chat and we can answer them that way. Or just feel free to raise your hand using the emojis in the chat feature and unmute yourself and just ask a question. We welcome all. So if things pop up as we're going, feel free to put them in the chat as we go along. So first, I just want to give an overview of who is the Weisman Art Museum? What is the Weisman Art Museum? As many of you may not have ever visited us in Minneapolis. So we are the University Art Museum at the University of Minnesota, and our mission is to create and advance inclusive arts experiences to broaden understanding of ourselves, our communities, and our world. We envision a deconstructed and reimagined space for creative expression and fearless inquiry reflected of the people and the land around us. This is our new mission that we have adapted under Alejandra just this year in 2024, and we'll be following this mission with these core values that really are grounding the work that we're doing at the Weisman. We see ourselves as a vital node of cultural life on campus, connecting students in the community, as a dynamic actor in the co-creation of a more just world, a space for respite, joy, for challenge, for empathy, and for self-care, a haven for shared learning, creativity, and free exchange of ideas, and a valued partner for the communities that we live and we work in. The museum has over 30,000 objects in our permanent collection, and we present exhibitions from the collection as well as traveling exhibitions that situate art and artists within relevant cultural, social, and historical contexts. And in addition to several major exhibitions that we present each year, we also commission and publish essays, exhibition catalogs, and we also host convenings, tours, special events that all focus around shared learning and research, as well as art making and performance and more. So a little bit of background on this project and how it developed. This residency is informed by an ongoing repatriation process that the Weisman and the University of Minnesota, through which members' cultural belongings and ancestors are being returned to their homelands in New Mexico. This project has been going on for several years, and the residency is open to artists who are enrolled, have recognized descendancy or proven cultural affiliation with the Hopi and 20 federally recognized Pueblo communities. And these are the tribes with whom the Weisman is currently consulting as part of the repatriation process. And by focusing this residency on Hopi and Pueblo artists, the museum aims to strengthen these relationships to support contemporary artistic practices of those directly connected to the members' cultural heritage and acknowledge the historical and cultural significance of these tribes within that process. And you can learn much more about the status of the project, the history of the project on our website at wam.umn.edu/about. And of course, if there's other questions about that, we're happy to also have follow-up conversations. So the project. We are inviting applicants for this Native Artist in Residence WAM NAIR project for a 2-year residency, which supports art making, research, and interaction with University of Minnesota students, staff, faculty, and the MniSota Native community. The residency involves both remote and in-person engagements, culminating in the creation of new work or new works, which will be displayed at the Weisman and promoted on the museum's channels. And applicants are welcome from artists working in any medium. There's a $55,000 total stipend, and then an additional $14,300 stipend for supplies. And then on top of that, we'll also be covering the expenses for travel, per diem, and hospitality over the course of the residency. The application deadline is September 15th, so about a month away. Notifications will come in November, and we would like to launch the residency and start having those first meetings in January. So the eligibility, artists must be enrolled, have recognized ascendancy, or have proven cultural affiliation with the Hopi and 20 federally recognized Pueblo communities, a demonstrated interest in leading institutional or social transformation through their creative practice, and the ability to also meet virtually and in person starting this fall with that interview process to the fall of 2026. And some other engagement requirements, we're looking for somebody who's interested in leading or collaborating activities and public programs, participating in meetings and conducting location-based research, and someone also who's interested in collaborating with museum staff and working closely with curator, artist, and project lead Juan Lucero, as well as Kendra and myself. So the materials that are required for the application, we're looking for your most recent artist statement, and that can be between 250 and 500 words. I also just want to share that Juan is a resource on the development of your artist statement. If you are looking for feedback or some more guidance, you feel free to reach out to Juan directly on that, and he is there to support you through that development. We're looking for your resume or CV that includes a detailed listing of your artistic and professional accomplishments. And we'd love to hear a little bit about your community and family apprenticeships within that. Your portfolio, so a digital portfolio, so images, they don't have to be the best images, but some images of your work, of 5 of recent works from the last 3 years, And if you do have a website, put that link there. Or if you have social media where you're sharing your work on there to your Instagram page or some other sort of web presence, we would welcome that as well. And then I think kind of the meat of the project proposal, really, why are you interested in this? What's your approach to art making? How do you envision your role as an artist in institutional or social transformation? Can you share a little bit about your experience in fostering cultural exchange within your community or elsewhere, as well as any experience you have with tribal allyship? And kind of what's your interest with engaging with the MniSota Native community? And the next part is the letters of recommendation. We'd love to see 2 letters from individuals that are familiar with your work and its impact. We would prefer that they're non-family members unless there's a professional relationship with that family member. And then a photocopy of a tribal ID or a letter of support for your descendancy. So the selection criteria for how applicants will be selected will be utilizing this rubric. So really just encourage you to, when you're working on your materials or when you're going to submit them, and we'll make sure that this is available online for you as well. And this will be on the website for you to download to have when you're developing your materials. But just always go back and cross-reference this and see, how these different categories are weighed, and know that you can make up for if you don't have a lot of experience in one area, but you might have more experience in another. Know that we're looking at all of those factors together. And of course, there are also going to be conversations that come through the application process as well. So don't overthink the criteria, but we want to be really transparent with everybody about what are the different categories of how we are looking and thinking about our different applicants in the pool for this. So now I'm going to go through kind of the frequently asked questions that we've been getting. So the artist stipend, and how will that be split and how will that be processed? So it's a total of $55,000 that goes directly to the artist, and that will be in 2 payments. So in the first year, the first $27,500, and then in the second year, the second $27,500. And then the artist stipend will be provided right away at the front of the start of the residency. So that would be part of the year 1 payment that would go directly to the artist. What is meant by new work? So we're looking to support projects that are developed and completed during the residency period. Proposals can build upon previous work. However, we're limiting reinstalling or remounting existing work or continuing an ongoing project that has already started. We would love for this opportunity to be for an artist to really develop and think about creating a new work or new works of art. So how many trips are anticipated to MniSota? That will be dependent really on the requirements of the specific artist project. And that will involve visiting locations that the artist is interested in, attending exhibitions, participating in other community engagements, or conducting research. There's a $5,000 total travel stipend. So we'll work with the individual artists, their interests, where they want to go and who they want to meet to really help support them. And as they balance this work with their others' life commitments. Travel will all be coordinated by probably myself or other Weisman staff members. So we will take that responsibility of supporting the artists to help get them where they need to be and when. How long do you anticipate the resident artist will need to spend in MniSota over the course of the residency? Again, this is really dependent on the needs of the artist and their project, and is flexible, and we're going to tailor it to the specific needs of the artist. And maybe some of you will want to come to MniSota in January or February, but maybe if warmer months for travel are better for you, we understand that as well. So we'll make it happen. What kinds of public programs and engagement activities will the artist be developing and leading, and with whom? So the public programs and engagements will be developed really through a collaborative process with museum staff, with the people who you're interested in meeting with, and other community members. And with this, really the point of the public programs is to foster dialogue, share knowledge, explore ideas, and also just build connections with the community and the artist's work. We have funding to present a total of 2 public programs, which could happen over the course of the residency. And really what the scale of those are, we can determine in conversation with each other, whether they're kind of more intimate, small scale things, or maybe it's an online Zoom-based thing, or maybe it's something else that we haven't even dreamed up yet together. And then at the very end of the project, we'd also like to talk about presenting a convening, so kind of a final gathering where we're talking and bringing together all the people who we've been in conversation with over the course of this project. So how long will the artwork be displayed at the museum, and is there a timeline for that? Since the residency involves both remote and in-person engagement, the culminating work will be displayed at the Weisman and will be promoted through all of the museum's channels. But the duration and timeline for the display and the artwork at the museum will really be determined through a collaborative process. And whatever the resulting artwork is, whether it's a performance or it's a large scale installation or it is a public art of some kind, we'll work collaboratively together to figure out when is the best place and timeline to be able to make that happen. And then, of course, what's going to happen with the artwork after it's been created. Again, it's kind of dependent on what is the type of work that it is and how it fits within the larger schema of things. That the museum would like to consider the artwork for accession into its permanent collection. And then pending that, if accession into the collection doesn't happen, then the artwork, of course, would go back to the artist, and the artist can explore other exhibition opportunities or sales. We've got another question about what do you mean by location-based research, and like what does that all involve? So this is really about just engaging with a local environment and the community to inform the artist's artistic work. And that could be in Minnesota, and that can also be wherever you are geographically located as well, as these two things are obviously in conversation. So we see this as participating in community events, visiting culturally significant sites, thinking about the natural landscape. All is to say is as it pertains to the artist practice as well as their interests. This also would involve utilizing the University of Minnesota's resources, as well as faculty expertise and research centers, workshops, lectures, meeting with other scholars and cultural practitioners, and of course, experimenting with materials as well. But really, I think the point is that the specifics of the artist research will be determined by the artist's interests. What type of work is the museum wanting to support? We are very open to supporting a diverse range of artistic work through this program. And since the type of work isn't predetermined, we really encourage artists to explore and propose projects that align with their interests and their expertise. Additionally, artists are encouraged to balance the residency with other commitments that they have, because we really want this to be flexible and also support your other professional goals. And this is just to reiterate that point that yes, you can work on other projects during the residency, as it's really designed to support the artist's creative process and allowing for flexibility with those other commitments that we know you have, because we understand that artists also have usually multiple projects and obligations, both professionally and personally and with community. So we are really looking to accommodate those and provide a supportive environment for your work. And again, as there are follow-up questions that come looking for support on the development of your application or feedback, really encourage you to reach out directly to Juan, who's here as a resource. And now I also just want to open it up to all participants. If there are other questions that we can answer here as we're all together on the screen, or again, feel free to follow up with those via email. So I'm just going to pull up the chat and see. Okay. Elizabeth says, um, uh, that there's a little confusion about the eligibility, that artists must be enrolled, have recognized descendancy, or have proven cultural affiliation with Hopi and 20 federally recognized Pueblo communities. Does this mean it's only open to Hopi and Pueblo? Is it written in a way, or is it just written in a way that's confusing? Um, yeah, so Elizabeth, I can go back to the slide that the background for the project is that in this first iteration of this artist residency program, the project is only open to those, as you've described, because this is presented in conversation with a larger ongoing repatriation project that the Weisman and the University of Minnesota is working on, and in conversation with those tribal communities. And so in this first year of the Weisman supporting this residency, we have made the decision, along with many advisors that have helped bring us to this point, that we would like to work in collaboration specifically with those communities for this first iteration. Right, and Kelsey had the same question. Also, feel free, if you have a question and you'd like to just unmute yourself and ask, feel free to do that as well.
Hello, I have a question. So, in this residency, if we were to reside in Minnesota, will we have to find our own residence, or would that be provided by the university?
For housing,
Yes.
yeah, we would not be able to provide like long-term housing, but we have the $5,000 travel stipend and fund. So within those $5,000, there would be travel and per diem that would encapsulate for that. But we would not have funding for housing for the period of the entire residency.
All right. Thank
I
you.
would like to just add that the way this is structured is to be more accommodating to Pueblo communities, knowing that a lot of our community members back in on the res can't necessarily leave for long periods of time due to cultural commitments, and things like that. So
Great. Well, if there are no more questions, this recording is going to be on the Weisman's website, as well as the Q&A we're going to make available as a drop-down menu for those frequently asked questions. And we also will make sure that the rubric for criteria for the application are available to you all as well. All of our email addresses are also available on the Weisman's website, so feel free to reach out to us, and again, reach out to Juan directly. He's excited and ready to hear from you. Juan, I don't know if you want to share anything about you also traveling down, if there's anywhere where people might see you.
no, I think if you all or anybody is showing at India Market, like we said, Kendra Alejandra and I are going to be down there during India Market. So if you have a booth or anything like that, please share your booth number and we'll stop by and visit you and say hello. But then also, I just want to say that I'm really excited for, and I really want to see our people really succeed in this and really do something that's really different. And then also, you can find me you can find me just about anywhere. If you know anybody that knows me, just ask for my phone number. You can shoot me a text. You can find me on Facebook and shoot me a message on Facebook as well. Um, my Facebook picture is a little bit funny, so don't be afraid to message me. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to working with our community members. It's really excited for this.
All right. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Wishing you well and looking forward to seeing your applications come through. Take care.